So Jabril Cox is now a Dallas Cowboy, and that's surprising. I love the player, and it's great value round four. The surprise is simply just Dallas now has four linebackers. Are they going to go with four linebacker coverages? I don't know. That's interesting. But you know what? Hey, it's never a bad thing to have a lot of depth. They now have a lot of depth, especially one they have had injury histories, and it's really good value. So I don't hate the pick at all because I love the player. So it's kind of just surprising he fell this far. Let's talk about what he is as a player and really talk about what I like about him because, yeah, I'm shocked he fell to round four. So Dallas, like, you got a legit, I think, fringe first round, at least early second round talent into fourth. I wonder if there's something that we missed about it. But yeah, let's just jump into the film study. So let's start off with a play like this. So it's going to be a cover two man, which means the entire middle of the field is opened up. And with a player who's going to be running a slant route against Jabril Cox, this is basically the toughest kind of play in coverage that a linebacker will have to make more often than not. But Cox's coverage is really good, and you're going to see that on this play. So he's obviously circled in white. That's, the slant route is what he's supposed to cover. And actually, right when this play starts, it's going to kind of be a disaster. Watch how immediately, a disaster is a strong word, but he opens his hips to the wrong side, which it does make sense because you're expecting the player to kind of run in that direction as he's lined up in that direction. But since he's running over the middle, this could be a lot more difficult for Cox to be able to try and make a move. And watch how this move is pretty good too, but Cox just has the speed to get back, and he gets an interception, not just a deflection, and a pick six right there. So his speed at the linebacker position really comes into play with coverage, especially when he is a smart player. Even though he put himself out of position on that play, he tends to put himself into position on a lot of other plays. This next one's kind of a similar example to what I'm talking about. It's, very foggy, but that's besides the point. And it's like a cover two man, but the two safeties are playing very close to the middle of the field. So almost like a buzz concept right here, which I think it's a 3rd down and 10, and Florida's taking the snap at like their 1 yard line. So I think that they're just trying to see if they can, maybe get like a pick six or something, or at the very least knock the ball away, force Florida to have to punt out of their own end zone, which could be a disaster. LSU's currently up 3 halfway through the 4th quarter, so getting like a touchdown here would obviously be huge. So maybe they're playing aggressive here. But for Jabril Cox, this means that he's going to actually end up getting put in a tough situation, as he's going to be defending a deep route, and with not really safety help over the top, this essentially means that he's going to have to cover all the way downfield, which you never want to see a linebacker have to do. And right when this play starts, he does get a bit of a late break on top of this, because I think he was sort of expecting something other than a deep route, and now he has no safety help over the top. It's a bad situation. This wasn't him being slow. This wasn't a physical thing. This is just simply him getting a late break on it. That's all that was. But watch him then have the speed to stay with him and run over and knock the ball away, nearly get an interception. It was a bit of a lower throw. The throw wasn't incredibly great, so that's part of it, because the quarterback was on the move. So absolutely, that is a factor. But I think a lot of other linebackers, even some linebackers that a lot of people have higher on their board, do not give up, or they give up that play. And again, having a good coverage linebacker, there's a lot of value there, and he is probably the best coverage linebacker in this draft. I think he is the best coverage linebacker in this draft. One more coverage play, then we'll get on to the run stopping. So on this play, this is actually going to be it's potentially a disaster for LSU. The reason why is, you see on the screen, this is it's man coverage across the board, but if you notice, it's a little bit hard to see because it's a bit busy towards the top of the screen. But there are 2 LSU players who are covering the Arkansas player who's closest to the sideline on the top of the screen, who's running the go route. There's 2 guys covering him and no one covering the Arkansas player who's running over the middle of the field. Nobody is there. Why? Well, there's no good reason. It was just a cross-up. So for this, Jabril Cox, who's in charge of covering the middle of the field, this kind of means that he's going to have to just sort of pick this up, which it's tough because, that's not his job. His job is to sort of roam around the middle of the field and just try and knock away anything that he can. His job isn't to, realize that an LSU defender has just completely screwed up his assignment and is covering the wrong guy. So right when this play starts, you notice how Cox moves in a little bit, which he had to do. It was a play action, and they're in man, so he has to run in. But now what he's going to do is he's going to read the quarterback's eyes. And to me, that's a really impressive thing that a linebacker can do. If you can read a quarterback's eyes, that's promising because that does absolutely come into play in the NFL. And watch, as you see, he steps in front of the route and gets an interception on a receiver that wasn't getting covered. So if they had a little more time, that could have been a huge gain for Arkansas. Instead, it goes the complete opposite way for Cox. So that kind of goes to show, I think, if you have a good coverage linebacker, just the swing, some of the plays he can make happens. Okay, now time to talk about his run stopping ability a little bit. I've heard people, I think people are too low on his run stopping ability. I don't think that's what he's best at. There certainly are linebackers who are better than him at it, but to me, he's a much more complete linebacker than a lot of the guys who maybe make a couple more highlight reel level plays in the running game. Just me being honest, I'd rather see you make a highlight reel level play that involves a turnover than involves a 2-yard loss in the run. So that's kind of why I like Cox a little bit better than some of these other players. I gotta phrase that better. That's why I like Jabril Cox more than some other players. Jesus, phrasing is important. Anyways, on this play, it's going to be the guard's going to pull around to block Jabril Cox. That seems to be how this play is designed. But something's going to go wrong. I'm not sure exactly what. Right when this play starts, Cox does a good job of stepping forward, which maybe that just fooled 51 right there. I think 51 just screwed up, quite frankly. So, Jabril Cox definitely has a good situation in front of him. He did a good job of stepping in himself, so he deserves some credit, even though I think Florida deserves probably more blame on this. But then also watch him kind of make this tackle on Kadarius Toney right off the bat, and that's not an easy guy to bring down whatsoever. He might be the most difficult guy to bring down like that. So, his tackling ability, absolutely there, I think. And then you have something like this, where you're going to see that there's actually a tight end who's going to run out to block Jabril Cox on this one, so he's on the edge right here. It's going to be a running play, obviously, because that's what we're talking about. But again, what's interesting about this play is, and what I really want to talk about with Jabril Cox, is the fact that he's just someone who can do his job in the running game, which is all he has to do. Make yourself fine enough in the running game that you'll do your part, and then you can be great in coverage. So watch what happens. Right when this play starts, the tight end, gets himself in pretty good position, but at this point, where Jabril Cox is at, you just can't really run around the corner. If you try to get sort of outside the numbers, he's in a pretty good spot where he can easily get off this block and either force you over the middle or make the tackle. Like watch, when he tries to get to the outside, Cox is right there, and he makes that quick tackle. So again, good play. It's not something that's going to wow you. It's not the highlight reel level plays that I was showing earlier that he can do in coverage. But his coverage is why you draft him, and his run stopping ability is good enough that it keeps him on the field. I think there's a lot to like with him, and the reality is there's not a lot of great coverage linebackers that come out of the draft, so getting someone who can do that, I think there's real value there, and just it's more difficult to get than sort of some of these other guys. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Jabril Cox, and what are your thoughts on this draft pick as a whole? Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.